Hello. You're welcome again to our Monday program, The Debate. And for today, we are going to have three panelists, three men. We are not discriminating, of course. The women are so tied up. So we have Mr. Fonban Emmanuel, who is from Cameroon. We have Philip Miyogi, I hope I got the name correctly, from Nairobi, Kenya. And we equally have Eric Williams from Nairobi, Kenya. Today, our topic will be Africa will rely on the potentials of her youth. Can promoting arts and sports push African youths to be more proactive in achieving the Africa we want? So today we are having three panelists and we are going to see how arts and sports can be a push factor to galvanize our youths to be proactive in making Africa what we want. And if we have to go by the fifth aspiration of the Agenda 2063, which envisages that an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values, as well as ethics. And sports is recognized as an element of culture and a major contributor in human development and strengthening national cohesion and rapprochement of people. So we are going to see how sports and arts can be, a pulling factor, a pushing factor to bring our youth closer to participating in making Africa what we want it to be. Before we get into our topic proper, we will have to welcome all those who are watching us live on Facebook and have a word from our panelists, dear panelists. I'll begin with Philip, who is coming up already for the second or the third time on the panel. We'll have a weight of appraisal from Philip, and then we take Fonban Emmanuel, and we'll end with Eric William, who is participating for the first time on our panel. Philip, an appraisal of the topic of today.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me here the third time. As has been said, I'm Philip Miyogi from Nairobi, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic, how sports and culture can make youth or can bring youth together into participating in the development of the Africa we want. And I really strongly believe that it is true, and I support the debate for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Philip from Kenya. I will take Fonban Emmanuel, who is so deep rooted in culture. Fonban Emmanuel is a filmmaker, he's a journalist, and he works always with youth. I think he will have much to tell us today as we are touching his sphere of influence so directly. Fonban Emmanuel, a word of appraisal from you on the topic we are having today, which is a fifth aspiration of the Agenda 2063, which is on culture and sports. Your microphone. Unmute your microphone, Mr. Fonban. We are not getting you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mbolifo. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you, or evening. Good afternoon to Mayogi, Philip, and perhaps to the other person who is certainly not yet in the house, and to
Eric.
all our
Eric Williams.
audience. Yes, Eric Williams. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I'm so happy with the topic today, and I feel that in the course of the program, we are going to be unveiling the package that we have to share. But I must say, it's a very engaging topic and a very prominent one for that matter, as far as the agenda 2063 is concerned. Yeah, so sports, and then arts, and the arts, they form some very core components of entertainment. And when it comes to entertainment, it helps in keeping many aspects of life vibrant, because there is nobody who is performant when they are not entertained. So entertainment is so much a very good asset in this aspect we're talking about, because sport is aimed at entertaining the arts world through the fruits of arts. They are aimed at entertaining. So thank you so much for this. While we wait forward to continue with the discussion.
We have background noise. I think that noise should be coming from Mr. Fonban. Try to see how to arrange your microphone. Is William around with us? William is not. I'm sure he's having network problems. We are hoping to have him with us immediately he can. Mr. Fonban, can you mute your microphone a bit? Yes, the noise is coming from Mr. Fonban. I don't know if you have a fan on or something that is blowing the microphone and giving a background sound.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. I am surprised, except that it is the system unit that is the fan from the system unit. I don't
Okay.
know. Because,
all right, you will just be muting your microphone so that our sound can be what we want it to be.
Are you sure? Please just get the. Are you still getting the sound?
Faintly. Faintly. It dies out. All right, we're going to continue. Maybe just mute your microphone while we go ahead. And when you come on, we'll see how to. Yeah, when you mute your microphone, the sound actually goes off. So we are talking about arts and sports. And sometimes when we talk of arts, many people don't actually know that it's a very vast topic or sphere, because arts, some people think that is just maybe theater acting, something that is just drawing and something things like that. Mr. Emmanuel, you are fully into the arts. When we talk of arts, actually, what are we looking at? Because some people are limited; they don't actually know that arts is a very broad topic. And we were talking about arts today, galvanizing the youth to be proactive in achieving the Africa we want. It's quite a wide area of we were talking about, and maybe you throw more light on what arts actually mean. I just mentioned equally that sports is recognized as an element of culture. Some people be doubting how that can be possible. So can you throw some light on actually what called arts actually entails?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mboli. For I think if I have to go by the definition of the online dictionary, we're going to have as, which is an expression of or application of human creative skills and imagination, typically in visual form or as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty and emotional power. Is still connecting to what I was talking about. And then we could also be looking at it from this perspective as being the various branches of, as arts, being the various branches of creative, that's of creative activity, such as painting, music, literature, and dance. This one has to do more with the entertainment that I was talking about. Like you were saying, when you talk of art, some people think they are only one-sided in thinking. Mm-hmm. And when we talk of arts, we could also refer to trade like a kind of profession, because I remember sometime somebody could see you and ask like, what is your art, or what's your art? They're expecting to tell you what you do in life. So we could look at it from so many different perspectives. So, but I believe that in this case, we are referring to the previous definitions that I have that I actually brought out. So, when it comes to that, we have just so much to share. So, I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, I think I've retained that arts goes a long way to cover things like painting, dancing, singing. And most youths are so talented in these different fields. And today we are looking at how the promotion of arts and sports can push African youth to be more proactive in achieving the Africa we want. We are having William who is joining us. Fonban, can you mute your microphone a bit?
Okay, Mr.
Yes, you want to say something?
Okay, maybe before I go, I think that it will be very important that I cite here that the perspective of us that I think that we should dwell more is that which has to do with creativity, everything that has to center with creativity, because this is the art that is very beneficial to the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I was going to welcome Eric Williams, who joined us and left again, I'm sure because of network problems. Williams, you're welcome to the platform, and we would like to get a word from you before we come again for you to tell us what you actually understand by art.
I'm sorry about the network inconvenience, and thank you for welcoming
That is Africa for us.
me. Yeah. So you asked what I understand by the word art. Art is, from my understanding, art is any special thing, like any special activity that an individual can actually do perfectly or
Mhm.
so well, and it is more specific to that particular person. Like that is art. That is what you're really good at doing. It can be drawing, it can be dancing. It's that very unique thing that you're talented, so talented in doing, and you bring out a unique kind of way of doing it. You get, like, you bring out a very unique way of doing it. That is
Mhm.
art to me. Like when you are good at maybe drawing, but there's this kind of way that you paint or way that you draw that no one else can do it. You are good, you are involved in sports or soccer or football or any other game, but there's a way that you play along with it that no one else can do it. I think that's art. That's a very special thing that someone can actually do, like that you can actually do as a person, that no one else can do the way you do it. That is art. Art can be dancing, art can be painting or drawing, art can be, let's say,
Yes.
art can be any sport. A sport can be
Mhm.
art. Singing or playing an instrument. That is
Mhm.
art. Art is something that is specific to a particular person or a group of people that no other group can beat them in doing, as much as they can beat them in doing, but they are so good at it in a very unique and particular way. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now we will be getting, to our topic. I want to see how arts can be a force for development in Africa. What do you think can arts actually be a force for development for African youth? Because we're looking at how arts and sports can push them to be proactive. Do you think arts can be actually a force? Mr. Foreman, I take Philip. Yes. Okay, I see Eric is smiling. Maybe he wants to take the question already. How can art be
Actually, I'm
a force
smiling
for development
because
in Africa?
I would actually not agree kindly that art cannot foster development in Africa. Politely, that art, we can't use art to develop Africa or to achieve the Africa we want. Because, for one, when we use our talent, we know in most African countries we are very talented. And most of the athletes, international athletes all over the world, most of them originate from Africa. And we know that very well. But the problem comes when you when we shine out there, our leaders take the credit. It won't be on an individual. It won't be on a country. It won't be on one particular person. But the leadership, it will be politicized. Like, I may come out from I'm William from Kenya. I may come out from Kenya as a very good rugby player, but when I'm out there, I'm lifting the name of my country. Let's say when we organize a sporting event in Africa, it will be politicized. Once a Kenyan country win or a Cameroon country win or Zambia or any other, or South Africa or Cameroon or Morocco, if they win, the politicians will want to take the credit. I am the Minister of Sports and I made this happen. So give me the credit, give me the money, give me the acknowledgement. So in Africa, when we take things international or to a level where it's recognizable, our
Mm.
political leaders will take the credit. They will snatch it from us. So after the event, they will forget all about us. and go back to their offices and enjoy our sweat as the lead as the athletes, and forget that we are the people who put the effort to put the country in such a limelight. So fostering art and sports and all that, developing it in Africa, it won't bring development to an individual, because that's where development begin. Once I'm developed, I know I am knowledgeable, I know how to use my sports and my art and my athleticism to develop myself. That's when it can develop a country or a nation. But when the leaders will take the credit after the sporting events, they will put us aside and enjoy the money that we generated through the sports, then we won't develop. Next time we are called upon to participate in such sports, we won't willingly go, because we'll be mistreated. We'll enjoy the activities, yes, as Africans, as young adults, but after the event, we will feel like we are so put to the side that it's not even helping us at all. So art will be politicized, and it won't help us at all. Thank you.
Let me get to the next. No impact to Africa. Arts and sports have got no impact on the African community as a whole.
I think we can't hear Mr.
Yeah,
Elvis.
I am.
Mr. Elvis, we can't
Yes,
hear
I
you well.
wanted to
Oh,
go
we are
back
good now. We are good.
to Eric, who is saying that when we have the credit, it goes to particular person. So I wanted to get to the next question to ask him if he is not seeing any impact of arts to the African community. Is sports and arts so useless that there is no impact at all, but that the impact just goes to the offices and we do not feel anything on the ground?
Okay, let me answer that. I don't think it's useless. Actually, it's very useful in taking the mind of the youth off criminal activities, or getting to making us get together as African nations. It will
Mm.
help us get together and get along very well. But the problem comes once the sporting activity, because we won't do sports all year round. We won't do sports every morning and evening. We'll do it at particular times. But here it's where investors will come to try to develop our country. But when they come, who will they go to? Will they come to the sporting associations, or will they go to the government? And what will the government do? Will the government come and consult us as the athletes, or will the government go to its political side? It is important that we partake in sports, and it really helps us grow and develop as individuals. But what are our leaders, African leaders, doing about it?
Okay, I will come
Let me
back to
give
you.
you. Let me give. Okay.
I will come back to you. I see Mr. Fomban doesn't agree with you because he, as a youth, is impacting Cameroon already because he's from Cameroon. He's impacting Cameroon already so much. And since you were developing your point, I don't see Mr. Fomban very, very d'accord with you. Mr. Fomban, how can art be a force for development in Africa? Let me come back to you with this powerful question before we continue with the next questions. Ah, la 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 la. We have serious problems with this
Can
microphone.
I, can I
I don't know if
can I say something
yes,
in the
Philip.
meantime?
Yes, Philip, go ahead.
I hope you can. I hope you can hear me. I think I want to disagree with my brother from Kenya here, William, and say that I don't. I think I understand where he comes from. We both come from Kenya, and I think we've seen
Mhm.
now our leaders handle sports and all that. Actually, when as we speak, I think there's a former minister who is supposed to go to court because of issues of sport. With people went to Olympic, he didn't pay the athletes, and they want to take glory, as my brother William said. But looking at
Yes, yes.
other,
I am not cutting you. I am not cutting you, Philip. I'm not cutting you. We don't want to dwell so much in
yes,
what the leaders do, but we want to see the
yes.
impact that these can have on the mentality, on the attitude, and on the motivation of
Actually, that is where I was already headed. Thank you, Mr. Elvis. You can hear me?
youth. in trying to mold them behave like civilized citizens and put their know-how in order to develop Africa. We want to keep all what the malpractices that happen, but we know, you and I know, that these youths who get into these activities do not come back the same. There is always a plus. Forget about the money that is not paid. Let us look at how this actually impacts the youth and how what is impacted on them can help to take Africa ahead. I think that is our focus.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Elvis. I was just touching on that and trying to explain why Mr. William feels that way. And I was added on exactly what you want me to say. And I was saying that sports and culture, art and sports, it can really develop Africa. And what we just need, what the youth need to be given is just that opportunity. And what I want to say, number one, is that when youths come together, and as one of my brothers, I don't know whether it was William or Emmanuel, who said that when we come together, we will leave those peer pressure, we will leave those criminal activities, where when youth participate in criminal activities, they will destroy things. And we've seen most of them being used in various political reasons to destroy things. And you see that is now depressing development. And when youths are engaged in sport, also that will be a source of employment for them. Okay. Good. And when they engage, that will be a source of income for them. And when they go out there, whether they play in Kenya or they in whichever country, or they go to England, as most of our players go, it is still source of employment, and there's still source of income that comes and go back to their home country. And so that is why I want to support that art and culture can really bring development. And even, let's say, for example, when we talk about music, we've seen a lot of people who have been employed with music, okay? And we've seen a lot of people who have earned through music. And a lot of things have been created through music, art, drawing and all that. So I think what we need as the African youth is just that opportunity and the environment that can facilitate this art and sport, and not really say that maybe because whatever bad things has happened, or whatever 1 or 2, 3 things that have happened now we can say that it can't bring development. Sports, arts, or culture, let me add culture, I think all those things can contribute to the development of Africa.
Okay.
Thank you, Elvis.
Thank you so much for coming back to appreciate, actually, because Eric already said that sports and arts is a form of it takes away youth from deviant activities, and that was good. But when he went further to develop, I'm sure he missed the point that he has already started developing. I take Mr. Fomban, who I am sure must have had a cold heart a bit, because Philip, actually went back to his field to appreciate arts and to appreciate sports. Let me take Mr. Fomban, who works closely with youth and is deeply rooted in arts, to tell us what he feels can be the contribution, can be the impact of arts and sports to the development of Africa. Mr. Fomban.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mboli, and perhaps to other panelists who have been contributing. But I just want to highlight to Williams here that I bet you, with the absence of arts, you are going to get a lot of blood flowing in the whole continent. Arts is like a relieving pill that comes and actually relieves people from many things that are really wrong with them. You could imagine perhaps a football fan who has been provoked somewhere, and he's going somewhere so angry, and suddenly he hears that a goal of one of his most loved teams whether one of the players in his most loved team has scored a goal. In fact, that jubilation, that happiness, and all the rest, it makes at least it relieves pain. It relieves pain so much. And it's not only in this. And I want to highlight here that one of the areas there's when you look at these sectors, you discover that these are some of the areas where we have the highest number of self-employed people who are able to create jobs for themselves. You could take the case of for instance, a filmmaker like myself. I do not wait to write an application somewhere, but I am able to employ myself and give opportunities to many others who actually make use of those opportunities in extensive ways. And you have other areas like somebody who is talented in painting. The person is able to create so many jobs and so many opportunities for themselves, and would even go a long way of employing others. The same applies to football and the rest. So the artists, these sectors have a lot of wonderful opportunities that it brings to the whole continent. And talk more of even tourists, whether the tourists that it's able to employ, because I bet you there are many. Look, for instance, like the film festivals and other festivals, cultural festivals organized in different parts of the continent. You want to count the number of tourists who actually come visiting the various countries that organize these events in the name of, at least it's still in the backdrop of arts, that really come to witness this event. I remember the Gonzo Festival in my tribe that used to mobilize more than 2,500 tourists from different parts of the world who actually come to Cameroon. And when these people come, the money that they spend in paying for hotels, in buying the local products and all of that, that money goes into the economy and has a lot that it adds into the economy. It sells our beauty out there, and it has a lot of things that it does to us. So we cannot we cannot ignore, or we cannot even afford to think that arts do not have whether arts do not have a great value to taking us to another dimension.
Thank you, Mr. Fomban. We are talking on arts, promoting arts and sports, and we noticed that it's like in our country, arts and sport is not recognized, because I take the case of Cameroon. There are no professional leagues, and we only get to know players who emerge from abroad and come back, and the home-based players are hardly being used. What do you think can be done at the level of the African continent, the African communities, the African countries, to be able to promote arts and to even motivate youth to get into arts and to use the skills that they have in order to generate income, like you are talking of the Ngonso. And we have even Festac that usually takes place in Limbe, where we have so many youths participating, and it's always, a pulling factor. People visit the area, you see talented youths, but at the end of the day, these talents are not, harnessed. These talents are not promoted. So how can we promote arts and sports in Africa
Oh,
to make it
uh,
have value to Africa and make Africa what we actually want it to be?
okay, like you are already saying, Mr. Bolifo, I think one of the greatest challenges that we have is that we do not have a sufficient infrastructure to actually make sure to actually accommodate these skills and bring them to the limelight in a way that can actually persuade anybody out there. You see, like most of our local, like in the case of football, most of our local players, they only become stars when they go to Europe and start playing, when certainly a good number of them, a good majority of them, when they play in the local leagues, you don't get to see them out there. And the whole thing is that there is no sufficient infrastructure to actually sell these people. You won't you can discuss, you can know how difficult it is to act for a player who plays in a muddy field to actually be seen out there as a professional, unlike maybe a player who plays in a start in Barcelona and all of that. So you discover that infrastructure has a great role that it has to play here. So if we must want to make use of these as a potential or as an asset in development, we should be ready to develop the infrastructure, because the absence of infrastructures is just it's just like a clear indication that we are not ready to use it as an asset.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Fomban, for that contribution. I take Philip. How do you think? Let me take the case of Kenya. How do you think arts and sports can be promoted in Kenya for the youth to be able to showcase their talent and to use this talent to develop Kenya. Let me take Kenya. We are in Africa, and I'm taking Kenya because you're from Kenya, and I know your examples will be coming from Kenya.
Yes, I want to totally agree with Emmanuel about infrastructure, and even William will agree with me on that. I think one thing that lets us down as Africans is lack of infrastructure, and that is very, 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 very common across the countries. And for example, here when we don't have, we I think the only stadiums that we have in Kenya, serious stadiums that we can mention are just three. And if one of them maybe is under renovation, then which means some sports have to be postponed, you know. And then another thing, I don't want to dwell on that because Emmanuel has really said enough on that. I think another thing is really laying a foundation, just having good leadership, just to take care of arts and sport. Let's say, for example, ministry, let's say, for example, federations or associations. I think those are very important because if you don't have a leader, you know, you can't just walk going nowhere if you don't know where you are going. And having good leadership, okay, and who understand art, who understand where we want to go with this, who lays ground, who ensures that these people are recognized and these people are paid well, okay. I think that is what is also very, very important for us because we've also seen, as my brother William was saying, that most of these guys are only recognized when they qualify and go for international games like Olympics, you know, when they go for World Cup, or, you know, or such kind of games. And when they're down here, you don't even hear them. You know, when we have maybe a national competition that maybe our team may be playing with another country, that is when you'll hear maybe somebody, there's somebody called maybe Origi, there's somebody called who, because there was an international competition and Kenya had to participate. But now when there are local leagues here, they are not really supported well. You know, there's not that support, and that goes even to the culture and music, goes to art such as music and drawings. Not most of these artists are really recognized, and some of them just want maybe a leader to mention, you know, there's this such a thing, you know, this thing is happening, and when they're mentioned, they can do well, you know, and people can really support them. So I think one thing we need is just a strong foundation so that lays policies and ground, and to show these people where we want to go and how you can do this and how they can be supported. I think that is very key.
Thank you. We have Yemle Pride who is asking that if the officials are the ones taking the glory, should we stop any form of arts? Our answer is no. Even if they are the ones taking the glory, we will continue in the arts, we will continue in
We
the
have to
sports, and
continue.
we are hoping that someday it is actually going to give us the dividend, give us the prospects that we expect. So we are going to continue. If you are an artist, you are a sporter, do not relent because you will definitely play your own part as far as your talent is concerned. We have Cliff Clinton, who is watching from Cameroon, and we equally have Irene Talk Show. I am sure she is from Cameroon, and Maxwell, who is watching us from Zambia. Share our link so that your friends can join us and take part on the debate. And I come to Eric. How do you think arts and sports can be promoted in your country or in Africa so that our youths can actually be touched by their talent and use these talents to develop the Africa we want to have by 2063?
All right. One of the ways that I think art and sport can be used to develop Africa or bring Africa together as one
We are not getting you clearly. Can you be more audible?
vision of becoming one self. Okay, I'm saying about that. I'm saying one of the ways that sports and arts can be used to bring Africa as a continent together and in the limelight of development. It's more than just the infrastructure and laying down a foundation and everything. As we know, most of our athletes from Africa, they don't they don't leave our local nations because of the infrastructure and the foundation. They live because of what they get from going out of the country. It's what we get from going into England or Europe or America. It's what we get there. You find mostly in as an example, let's take Kenya as an example, or any other African country. In high school, we have international schools coming locally to support and offer scholarship for education. because how an African child is raised is like we know that we have to go through a formal education first, because that's definitely how our parents will support us or our guardians. So most of us are scared. Like if I get into sports and start doing art aside from formal education, what will my parents think about it? Because we know in Africa, parents struggle to pay school fees. So that's why international schools will come with scholarship opportunities that come study engineering while you play football. Come study any other course or piloting while you can play your hockey. So that's what African countries should do. Let us offer scholarship on formal education first, because that is what an African child grows up knowing. That when I get out of this place, I want to go to school and get this first. While I get that, I get into that's what's called co-curricular activity. As much as you want to lay a foundation and build infrastructure and bring Africa together, let us offer formal education. That is the measure of a developed nation. That's the measure of a developed continent. Well, in African countries, we should offer the scholarship for formal education first, because what we get from sporting is worth sponsoring all these other activities. Because let us offer our children formal education. Come to an African school and offer them scholarship. Come study this. While you study this, you can play your game. While you study this, you can take part in sporting activity. That one will even attract people from Cameroon, from Zambia, from South Africa, from Ethiopia to come to Kenya or to come to any other country. They'll hear that they'll hear that Egypt is offering scholarship in piloting or in medicine. While I do that, I can play hockey. While I do that, I can play table tennis. While I can do that, I can play lawn tennis. That will drive them towards going to study medicine while they will be playing their game part-time. It's going to bring a lot of people from different countries together, not just focusing on the art and sports alone. Because at the end of the day, when the art and sport is aside, because we don't play art and sport all the time, as I said, we will need to do something professional first. Because I know most of us here, we have professional things that we do on the side. That is when we come to sporting activities later. So what let us offer our African children or African youth formal education. Then as you offer them the formal education, give them the chance to do sporting. Because we will come to sports. Like I witnessed some video went viral some years ago of a Rwandese athlete who could not even speak a basic English or the Swahili that most East African nations were speaking. That was because it was taken from the village, like it was taken from the grassroots of African nation or any African country, and was taken to play international sports. But he could not communicate. Why offer arts and sport at international levels when we cannot even communicate to all, any other media houses or with ourselves? How are we going to communicate? How are we going to interact? How are we going to come together as a nation and build ourselves? Offer the formal
Okay.
education first. Thank you.
Yeah, that is another topic for debate. But we know that most professional schools, especially soccer, that we are talking about, boxing, they do not recruit, or they recruit children or youth who are offered formal education, and they base much on the moral standard of the students or the people who go, or the youths who attend these schools, such that just the aspect of sports already builds your moral, makes you to be an upright citizen, and equally a citizen who respects the laws of the country. So that is another debate. If somebody doesn't speak, we are on arts today and seeing how the youths can affect their country. And talking about the video, which even went viral, I want to think that the country, or that athlete who was from the country, people had to know about the country, because they must have been asking, who is this athlete who cannot speak Swahili or English? And I think she had her own impact, as well as her country, as far as her country is concerned. And I was reading somewhere that sports stands for good governance, respect for rules, fair play, honesty, and discipline. Yet, sport ministries in Africa suffer from poor governance. What do you think can be the cause of all this? Sport stands for good governance, respect for rules, fair play, and honesty, but the ministry doesn't speak for itself. What do you think can be the problem? Can it be the result of youth not being interested in arts as well as sports in Africa? Philip, I see you smiling. It's like the question, you have something to say already on that question.
I, actually, I was laughing because there's a comment you put up for one of our viewers, and I wanted to respond to it, but maybe you will put it up back later. But I can also respond to this. I think governance. It is very true what you've read about sports being standing for good governance, fair play, and all that. But I think in Africa, leadership generally is just a person. You know, when somebody's bad, whether they believe in sport or not, they will just be still bad. If their governance style is bad, it will just still be bad, whether in sports or in every other sector. So I don't think. I think that is in a person. Let me just leave it at that. But I think that is in a person.
Yes, Mr. Emmanuel, let me come to you. I was saying that sports in itself talks or entails good governance, entails respect, fair play, and honesty, as well as discipline. But then we discovered that our ministries do not motivate the youth to showcase their talents and to build Africa we want. Some get so reluctant and even discouraged to continue participating in some of these arts and sporting activities. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, Mr. Mbolifo, I think if you have to go by the experiences of what happened on every pitch, that is, be it a football pitch or a handball pitch or a basketball pitch or whatsoever, you'll discover that this application, those rules do apply, because there's a lot of discipline. Yes, we rarely have scenarios where there's no discipline in these games. In football, the rules are there. If you touch the ball with your hand, it's a handball. When it happens, you always see the referee blow. There is no politics in it. When you commit when you have a fault, the referee blows and it is. So if we have to, I think that I understand those points actually from us having to replicate this example of what we see in a football pitch out of the football pitch, wherein people who actually commit crimes, they are sanctioned. They are sanctioned accordingly. Yes, because if we have to replicate this discipline out of the football pitch, I think that we'll be able to, even to sport ministries like you're saying, we'll be able to have them in their best perfection, or whether we'll be able to have them in their best forms. We'll be able to have them represent better, and we're going to have some very wonderful performance of them. And sometimes it's even very, very poor when you are talking of even government bodies that head sporting activities in countries. Like, you get to many of these are African countries, and you see sport ministers, people who cannot even run. People cannot even run for 10 meters. And it's very, very frustrating, because if you have to go by that, then you discover that you would bear with me that anybody who should be made a minister in charge of sports should be a vibrant somebody who still, in fact, it's a ministry. It's a ministry for youth and not ministry for old people who can actually do nothing. It's not a ministry for people to sit and read papers and all of it. It's ministry for people who are performant, and it's a ministry for people who can be able to go to the field and do at least and represent the sports, and not people who to go sit and they only make speeches. So the whole issue of discipline and all of that, I think on pitches, on the playgrounds where these sporting activities are taking place, you can see all of those things that you say, the governance, the good governance, the discipline, and so on and so forth. But out of there, that's where we have the problem. Yeah.
Okay, that brings
allow me to add something, please.
Yes.
Yes. So
me to.
So
I think
that's my own contribution. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Philip. You want to say something?
I think I want to. Yes, I really agree with Emmanuel. And one thing I really want to add on top of what I said earlier is also that I think most of these leaders who are being given this opportunity are just given out of because they support a political faction, so they are just being rewarded this opportunity, and they don't really believe in sport, or they don't really believe in art. So they're just given an opportunity because I am the president, I want to appoint a certain person. So because some of them you find they are very, very old people, or some of them are not even having interest in sport. So I really want to agree. When you go to sport, when you go to pitches, when you go to whichever pitch, you will find there is discipline, all that sports believe in, you'll see it there. But when you go to the leadership, you will not see that at all. So I think that is the reason. Thank you.
Yeah, that was getting me to read what I saw when I was doing research. According to Muisuka and Mabagala 2011, personnel serving in various national sports federations and organizations in East Africa as managers are not trained professionals in the area of sport management. And my question was, can this be one of the reasons why Africa doesn't get much development from sports, talk less of winning the World Cup, when we have so many talented athletes who are performing so well out there, but we only have South Africa as one of the African countries that have successfully hosted the World Cup. Can we say that is because of lack of professionalism? That those who manage the sporting activities do not even have that nostalgia, or how do I put it? Nothing to write home about, as maybe sporting activities. They have not won trophies, and those who actually have played the football or have done most of these sporting activities are not allowed to run the affairs of the different federations. Can this be one of the reasons why we don't get much benefit, or youth don't get to be really promoted as far as art and sport is concerned? Mr. Fomban.
Yes. Let me. Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
Philip, you're already on. Yes, go on,
Okay.
Philip.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll come
So
back to
if you,
Fomban.
thank you for the opportunity. I think if you look at a country like countries in Africa that at least are trying, a country like Egypt and a country like South Africa that you just mentioned, I think we will agree that infrastructure plays a very big role, as even my brother Emmanuel said. Because if you look at South Africa, at least they have some infrastructure, some pitches or some stadiums that you can point fingers at. If you look at Egypt, there are some infrastructure that you can say these guys are really developed, and at least they are heading somewhere. If you even, I think South Africa has even hosted World Cup. If you come to Kenya, really, where we will even host African Cup of Nations, we can't, because there are no pitches. There are just a few, but they can't be enough. So also another thing that has really contributed maybe to South Africa maybe leading, I think the white people, let me just put that in quote, who are there for a very long time, also played a very big role, because by the time they were leaving, they already set up most of the infrastructure. So I think when South Africans took over, so at least they have that advantage of having infrastructure. But I think also the leadership of art and culture, I think in those countries that are at least doing well, I think the ground was really laid well for them. So I think that is one of the key factors in their success. Yes. So I think when we have good leadership, when you have good infrastructure, I think even other African countries can really do well in that area. Yes.
When you were talking, I saw Eric agitating. Eric, just say something, then I get to Mr. Fomban.
This infrastructure thing, it's really disturbing. As much as we are talking about our nation's development of infrastructure, the next World Cup was supposed to be hosted in one of these Arab Emirate countries, this Qatar. And imagine, they built stadiums in months. They built stadiums in months. They set up structures just to be able to support the World Cup that was going to be hosted in their country. So it's not about the infrastructure that is available. It's about the ability of the country to set up all the required standards for the sporting activity to take place. Like in African countries, let's say African Cup of Nations, or the African rugby match that always happens. I think it's every year or after a few years. When you're appointed, when you're selected by the federation or the leadership of the sporting activity, that you will be hosting this particular sport this particular year. it's upon the country to set up the infrastructure. It won't take so long for a country to set up the stadium if you really want to reap from it. Because when you host a sporting activity, you benefit a lot. It's more than the art, it's more than the sporting activity for the youths coming together. It's the investors that are going to come with it. It's the people who are going to come. Like let's say Kenya is hosting African Cup of Nations. How many investors do you think will come? And if the country is serious about the African Cup of Nations, don't you think they can even borrow loans to construct the stadiums? And after the sporting activity is over, don't you think the money that people who are coming to participate in the sports come with the investor that come with the sport? Don't you think they will be able to raise all that money even in a week or even in a month during that period, build infrastructure or any other thing that can support sporting activity? It's not about
all
money. I
right.
mean,
So you are supporting
are
the
you
fact
ready
that
to do it?
good. Thank you so much. Your point is heard. Are you ready to do? We are wanting to emulate the ability and the zeal and the South Africans who took the horns, the bull by the horns, to be able to host
Yes.
a World Cup. I think that is our reference, and we are hoping that other countries will follow suit to host equally more important activities as far as sports and arts are concerned. We get to our resource person who is deeply rooted in arts, Mr. Fomban. Do you think poor placing of individuals who have not participated in different sporting activities, in different arts and cultural activities, is actually a drawback for us to benefit much from arts and sports?
Yes, actually, it is very, very true, Mr. Mbolifo. You would bear with me. If anybody is taken, like for instance, if you have anybody becoming the Minister of Arts and Culture, and the person, it could be somebody who has never practiced in that domain. If I tell you, if people selected to head these ministries or these government structures are people who are not so passionate about these areas, I bet you we are going to continue having these kind of things that we have every time, and they'll be drawing us back for the rest of our lives. And sometimes some of these things they play back, play down on our performance. You would imagine here a player who is leaving Cameroon to go and play maybe like in Barcelona. Certainly, a player who has been playing in a muddy field will go to Barcelona, and then they put him in the stadium that is roofed with all the lightings and all of that to be playing in the night. You discover that he may be playing, but his mind will not be on the pitch. He spends all of his time looking at trying to get himself acquainted with the environment. So these drawbacks, they don't prepare us even they don't prepare us psychologically to even get to the international level. They have a very big draw on us. And you see, like we were saying, in all these sectors, when we choose to actually appoint people who are not so passionate about these areas, I think that will continue to be like this, because a sport minister who has never gotten engaged in sports to actually live it, to actually enjoy it, to actually have some kind of passion in it, passion to a certain level, he can never make constructing stadiums to be a priority in his within the time he's minister. You see, they'll come in and their on their agenda will be appointing or building some kind of paper structures and embezzling money from left to right, and that's all they can be able to do, because these are sectors that to actually develop, it needs a lot of passion for these sectors. It needs a lot of commitment. It needs people who have been able to live in this, live practicing in these sectors as players, and these are the category of people that we can get the best from them. I don't know who is the best player in I don't know who is the best player in Kenya. I don't know who is the best player in Kenya, but for instance, here, like in Cameroon, we cite the case of this guy we call Etophis. You bear with me that if he was taken, make the Minister of Sports, you bear with me that he's going to be more performant than any other person who is sitting there. It's because this is an area where he at least the opportunities that he sees there, they are beyond what any ordinary person who is just a kind of a paper minister
You,
would see. So people,
yes, yes,
competent persons, yeah. So
yes, Mr.
competent
Fombad,
persons, they
we
are
got
actually
you.
Can I add
people.
on to what?
Yes, we got you. We need to put competent persons, square pegs in square holes, so that they can be able to direct the affairs of the country as far as sports is concerned, so that we actually get to get the impact and equally motivate our youth. And a question coming to you: can the film industry help in achieving the Africa we want? I think this is directly to you, because it's your sphere of influence.
Yes, I think that the film industry has got a lot of wonderful potentials that are yet to even be discovered. You will discover. I'll give you an example. When you were growing up,
You
you
have
will
two
bear with
minutes.
me. I don't know,
Yes,
maybe in your own perspective, what made you to know that? Yes, that what made you to know that America is the strongest country in the world is because of their films. These are their action films that used to circulate all over. And you, from this perspective, you want to see the power that cinema has in actually inculcating certain mindsets on people. All over Africa, whether out of Africa, in Europe and America, there are many people who know that Africa is a suffering nation, or whether it's a suffering continent. And this is because of some of these documentaries that NGOs come here and go to remote areas where people do not have water and they rest and record. They don't want to go to beautiful places like the Kigali and they so on and so forth to record good images of them and project. So because of the images that they get, they have this perception that we are the poorest people. So when you talk of the film, I think that the film has a lot of work. In fact, filmmakers have a lot that they can give in when it comes to branding the image of Africa, they're like changing the face of Africa from that suffering continent to actually a continent with wonderful potentials, a continent with wonderful touristic sites, and so on and so forth. So the film sector has a lot. We're citing an example even of the nearby Nigeria. Do you know the number of people who visit Nigeria just because they want to see their celebrities, their Genevieves, and their Okwas, the Igbos, and the rest? There are too many
thank
people
you,
who come there just to see them. And when they
thank
so there
you.
is a lot that this sector offers, and I believe that if we exploit it, we will be able to reap the best from it.
Thank you so much. One last word from Philip
Just
before
one,
we go.
just to add one,
Yes,
just to add one point on
yes,
film.
just go on with your last word.
As we
How
all
can we
know,
promote arts
as we
and culture to be
as we
able to
all
make
know,
youth proactive? You have
as
two
we all
minutes to
know,
go, please.
on film, kindly on film, we all know that Wakanda has brought Africa together and ahead than any other film in the history of films. So film can really do a good work in bringing Africa together and developing Africa to be the Africa we
Okay,
want.
good. Philip, one last word before we conclude. How can we promote,
Yeah, even as I
can the
say,
promotion of arts and sports
even
push our youth to be proactive to make Africa what we want it to be?
even as I say my last word on that, I think I also have to add something on film, and I can say that film can create employment for us, just as it has created in other countries. Another thing is that film can also be used to raise the issues, the leadership issues, and the development issues we have in Africa. And by raising those issues, by pointing at those issues, by articulating those issues, the world can know, and we can know where to correct and where to work on so that we can move forward as Africans. And then how to promote art? I think my last word will be I think we need to support our artists. Our leaders need to focus on how to promote our artists and then putting right leadership at the right place, not just bringing anybody because they support my political party, they support whatever into arts and culture leadership. Infrastructure, good leadership, it is very key. I think that will be my last word.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, in the Africa that we want. We have seen so talented. Africa is endowed with so many talents, and all we need to do is to harness these talents, promote them, sponsor them, get the necessary infrastructure that they need to be able to perform their arts as well as sports. And equally, why not those who are already performing to come back and equally boost the morals of those who are back home, so that they can actually see the importance of these sports, because some of them are talented but they have nobody to hold their hand. So for those who are already in the diaspora and doing well, please come back to your country and put up something that talks well of the type of arts, the type of sports you're best in, so that the youths who are behind in Africa can equally follow your footsteps and make Africa known in other places. And we are saying equally that different uh, arts complexes, sporting complexes, to also be able to give the youths who are attending these schools some education, so that they too will be able to express themselves, they too will be able to express the arts and the sports they know, so that these can be transmitted from generation to generation. One thing that can cause our arts to disappear, if we don't know how to transmit the information, if we don't know how to transmit the knowledge, we don't know how to transmit the emotion that the arts or the sports we participate actually carry. I want to thank all gentlemen. I have Philip Miyugi from Kenya, Eric Williams from Kenya, Fomba Nemawe from Cameroon, who are faces that we have always here on the debate. And I want to thank equally our viewers who have been so participative on Facebook as well as YouTube. Please continue following up on Mondays. We have the debate on Mondays. On Sundays, we have our business talk. And on Thursdays, still on Sompon Global TV, we have racism, which comes up every Thursday. So continue to share our links and remain with us. From the 17th to the 22nd of August, we are going to have our business master class, which will be taking place online. And those who are interested are very, very welcome. You can visit our website to get more information. And we were told that all of you who are out there and have businesses and have projects, you can visit our website and start registering, for it's going to be a rich package for those who are out there and not knowing how to begin their business. Visit our academia, academysompointsocialservice.org, and you will get all the information that you need and register on time, so that we begin from the 17th to the 22nd of August. Gentlemen, it was a nice time being with you, and we must do our own best to promote our arts and sports, so that we make Africa what we want it to be by 2063. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. Bye-bye.